Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm just going to go over real quick SuperRs Kitchen, and this is an app that is for Linux and Windows and runs on Python. It's the new version. Used to run on Bash, but Python is much more universal, and you can apparently do a lot more with it. So basically, the idea with SuperRs Kitchen is that you can take a stock ROM or an image for a phone. In this case, we're going to use the Nexus 6P and the latest N2G47W factory image from Google. So basically with this is going to be, this is your full factory image here that you would download. And inside of it, you have these files. So what we want to do is we want to actually, you could do the whole thing, but we're going to take this one here. We're going to extract this like so. So we're going to start up here. Okay, and we're just going to call this Nexus 6P N2G47W. Okay, now we are on the latest version as of today. In fact, we'll do an update. Everything's good. So, with this, we've created a new folder, which brings us to here. So what you want to do is take the image you extracted. In this case, we're just going to move it right in. So, don't worry about me, I just happen to like my stuff sit this way. First thing we need to do is extract it. So, as you can see, option 4, do you want to extract, which would be the file we had? Yes. Now all this is going to be done in real time. I'm not going to cut and edit the video or anything like that, so you're going to get an idea how fast this goes, how long it takes, as if you were actually working on it. So some things may take a while. My system is a dual SSD setup, so everything is pretty quick. Your system may not be quite as fast, but in general, this is definitely the easier way to do it. You can do it manually, but I'll tell you, this kitchen has made things so easy. In fact, this is the same setup I use to build my ROMs. As you can see up here, I've got various setups, but they all run through SuperRs Kitchen here. Okay, so would you like to extract the vendor image? Now, if you're working with a Nexus 6P, some people say that you don't necessarily want to include the vendor, which comes in as files. You'd rather flash the vendor image itself, that it can cause issues if you include the vendor as being extracted in the ROM. I haven't found there to be any problem, at least so far. So in this case, I'm going to explain what happens with this, but we are going to go ahead and extract vendor. So what this does is this takes the vendor image out of the main. So what you would have is this guy. So what you would otherwise do is flash this vendor image in fastboot, and then it's not included in the ROM. You can do that, but really if you use it the way that the kitchen does in this particular instance, it works the same. So we're not going to bother extracting that, or I'm sorry, we're going to extract the files from the image and include them in the final ROM zip. So let's continue with it our way. You want to extract it? Yes. Would you like to include the files from your vendor image in your ROM? Which is all of this stuff over here. So in this case, yes, I would like to. So normally you would have, when you flash the ROM, you'd have the ROM zip, then you'd have the vendor image, then you'd have any custom kernel after that if you decide you want one. But in this case, I like to bundle everything together in one. It just makes things easier for people. There's less stuff to keep track of and download, and remember to back up or restore in TWRP or whatever. So in this case, I combine vendor and system, and it all flashes as one. There's no headache, no nothing to remember. What is the name of your zip? Some people have clever names for this. I really don't. How about something for the Nexus 6P? What is your signature? Some of you will recognize me. This might be under a different name for the YouTube channel, which is Midnight Ninja. That's the direction I'm starting to go. And you might understand, some of you will, some of you won't. I used to have a 94 Camaro, and that was the reason for the name. But since I've since sold the car, I'm kind of moving on, but people still know me as Chevy Cam 94, so that's kind of what I'm keeping, at least for now. We'll go with that. Your options are set metadata, set perm, which is permissions, sparstat, and raw image. Depending on the system and the phone, you may have to experiment a little bit and try and see what works. But in general, set metadata is the one that you want. It's the most preferred, it's the easiest, it's what works. We'll just kind of go with this. Okay, so everything is set up. Now all your files are over here. So in here is your vendor, all the stuff from the vendor image. And in here is system. This is all stuff from the system image. Now this is what you're probably more familiar with. If you're new to Android, this is pretty much where the self-explanatory, of course, system lies. So you have your apps and all the different pieces in it. So I don't know, there's Google Home, has the main APK, and has the ODEX pieces. And we'll go through a couple things here on this side real quick. So I'm not going to go through every option, just some of the major things. So let's go down to number 6, miscellaneous tools. Here you can, at least the parts that you'll probably use are, well, really just zip-align APK files. So if you have 4, would you also like to do the ones in framework, which would be system framework would be in here. Like, well, yeah, that guy, only one. But yes. There you go. Just in case. Usually they're already zip aligned, but I like to do it just to make things easy. It's just peace of mind here. Okay, so let's go to main menu. All right, so that was miscellaneous tools. Let's go to number 7, boot and recovery tools. Now here, you can unpack boot image, which is this guy right here, and that's your kernel. If you want to do some kernel editing, for the most part, it's really just RAM disk editing, to be honest. If you want to do more than that, there's other tools, but if you're just starting out, really all you want to do is RAM disk. And I'll show you just a couple things real quick. So if we go into number 1, unpack, you'll see over here on the right that it created a boot image folder. Go in here. There is split image, but we're not concerned with this one. We want to go into RAM disk. Now here's where some fun things are. If we go to, say, Init Angler RC. Now, some people swear by Notepad++. It is honestly a better editor, but I kind of like the layout of TextPad. Yeah, I know, and blah, blah, blah. Come on, go away. Thank you. And we scroll down to the bottom. All right, just give you an idea here. So I'll just go over a couple quick things that I usually get rid of, and I'll give you an idea of something you can start with. So test server and diag test server, both of these, you can either comment them out with pound signs or just delete them. In my case, ATFWD I like to get rid of. I'm not going to go into what each one does. I'll just go over some of the things that I usually get rid of on my own. Scroll up a little bit here. There should be bug report. There it is. Bug report. And who even knows what these key codes are? I think they've been the same since, shoot, I think like the Droid 1. Nothing has ever changed. And obviously, I don't think that even works on this phone. So, whatever. But we don't really need bug reports. That's just one more thing to keep track of, and it's a headache. So let's keep going up a little bit here. SS RAM dump. We don't want RAM dumps, period. So basically this, so enable RAM dumps, enable RAM dump 0, but either way, we don't want to start this. SS RAM dump is this service here, SS RAM dump. We don't want RAM dumps, period. They don't help us, really. So delete that and that. Now above that is pretty much stuff you really don't want to mess with. You just kind of leave that stuff alone. If you're really hardcore into fine-tuning things and you're willing to pretty much break some stuff, you can go with some of this stuff, but just otherwise leave that stuff alone. So go save. Now I will mention here that Unix file format is what you want. If it's not Unix, it won't be recognized by Android, and it'll fail, the system will fail. There's all sorts of problems. So really, just save in Unix format. That saved you a bunch of time. Default prop, debuggable. I would normally say yes, it is. Secure, 0. Now, what I could do, I'm going to show you this. 1, 1, 1, 1, except for mock location in this one. So forget these two lines. Just worry about the first 4 are all 1, right? If we come back here, so we go add and remove init D support. You've probably heard of that. Sure. And it does this automatically. It's near instantaneous. Secure or insecure, right here. I'm sorry, up here, my bad. So insecure. Now, if you're using SuperSU or SuperSU or however you say it, leave that, I'm sorry, there. Leave it secure, it will change it. Otherwise, you actually end up with some issues. It may sound counterintuitive to leave it secure, but trust me, I ran into this problem and I finally figured out that's what was causing some issues for me. Remove DM Verity? Yes, please. Add and remove force encrypt. Well, in this case, remove force encrypt. Sure. Okay. So would you like to reload? Notice on the top it says 1, 1, 1, 1. Yes. And where did I go? Secure. We left alone. That's secure. We'll leave that. Debuggable is still there. Okay. So when we say remove force encrypt, we go into FS tab Angler. Open with TextPad in this case. And we scroll all the way down to here. Now this is on right here. It says on the data partition. We are now encryptable as metadata, which is user data or data in this case. It's not used for the cache partition or system vendor, whatever. It's not used for any of that. While you're in here, you could also change the ZRAM size. Mine is usually bumped up a tad, but you can change it if you want. I'm still experimenting with it, but I found that about just about double that works pretty well. So Let me think here real quick. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll leave the rest of that alone. Okay. So once you're done with that, you come back to this menu here. Like I said, just leave this one alone, and we'll repack the image. So number one, notice it went away, and now our boot image folder disappeared, and we're back to what is now a custom boot image. That's great. So we've done all that. So in this case, you can either build a flashable boot, which flashes in TWRP, and that would flash only the kernel or the boot image. In this case, we're going to make it a complete ROM. So back to the main menu. Let's go down to option 8, ROM Tools menu. Now here you can de-odex the ROM, which combines the odex back with the APK. It makes for a slightly smaller zip package, but some people say that it doesn't run quite as smoothly, that it still has to decompile, the system still has to decompile itself in order to operate at, quote unquote optimal. But it doesn't really hurt to just leave it odexed, honestly. And if there's speed to be had, which there will always be speed with odex versus deodexed, but we'll just kind of leave that one. In the root menu, you choose to root, add BusyBox, and SuperRs use. So, if you're making a custom ROM, sure, why not? So we'll do 1. Yes, we will root the ROM. It'll download the current SuperRs, or at least what he's got on file. Systemless or super, I just let super user decide. I'm not super picky. If you want to be specific, you can do that. But so, okay. Add and remove BusyBox. Yes. Download the current BusyBox, which I believe is 126. Oh, it doesn't, he's got the names off. Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay. So back to here. Add and remove su.d support. Sure, it's kind of like initd. Yes. Okay. And that appears in right here. So, come back to our kitchen, go to number 4, basically just back a menu. I wouldn't mess with the asserts menu. You can add an assert if you want your ROM to support more than one device, such as the Nexus 6P and the Nexus 5X. So you'd have Angler and Bullhead, but we'll just kind of go with just one right now because this was pulled from specifically Angler or the Nexus 6P, so we know it works on that. High chance that it will not work on the 5X, so keep your asserts the way they are. Extra directory menu, sure, why not? Now data app would be where you would put applications that say you downloaded through the Play Store and they installed on your phone. If you look up in the file system, they're under data app. That's right where they are. You can put those in that folder. So 1, yes. It's where it's been added, place apps in, boom, data app, right? Here, data app. And they would all go up here. My personal preference when I'm updating something is instead of doing it that way, I'll go to System, App, and let's say I updated Google Drive. So I go into Drive, and I would take the app that I had updated. Let me see if I have here. Okay. Well, let's go with one that I did do. So how about music? Okay. So in this case, I would simply copy the name, and you want to delete all of the old, including the ODEX part, out. Now notice this folder is nothing, so we don't need that. Pull both of these, it's important, you have to have both of them. Pull them both into here, and rename, whoops, all the files, like that. So now Music 2 has been updated from the update that was installed on the phone in Data App. Okay, so that's just an example of how you would do that. So let's go back to ROM Tools menu. The debloat menu basically takes apps that are listed by directory and name in bloat custom in this directory here, and removes them from their respective locations in system or vendor or whatever. And obviously also removes Knox if Knox is detected from a Samsung ROM. That came out completely wrong. A Samsung. Wow. Can't even say it slow, can you? It's ridiculous. Oh god, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, no wonder. With a Samsung ROM. Hey, I got it. But yes, so you can do that, or you can get a generic bloat list here. But for this, we're not going to worry about that. I'll show you in a minute. So we'll go back. And before I go here, here's the build menu. Before we do that, in system, this is what I do before I do mine. You can do the changes over here on this side before you go into finally building it. So we'll go into app, and just a quick list of some of the things I take out are Angular layout, drive, Hindi, Japanese, Pinyin, TTS, Hangouts, Korean, maps, wallet, videos. Now already from the ROM I've removed almost 400 megabytes of stuff. So just straight up delete. If there's anything more you want to delete or update or rename, you can do that. Go into private app, ATFWD, cell broadcast, Google feedback, retail demo. All right, we'll just go with that. And in this folder, that was an additional, ooh, wow, 4 megabytes. But hey, every little bit counts, right? Okay. So you can add things in, add new folders, but everything you do in here is going to end up in the final ROM. You can edit your main build prop. Like in this case, I like to use user debug. Come down here, 192, heat growth limit, how about 288, 768, 2 meg and 8 meg. There we go. I'm still experimenting with these, but you can bump these up to 6 each. And I have other things that I add in, but we'll not worry about those for this video. We'll take out, since we got rid of retail demo app, retail demo can just, and the MP4 doesn't exist anyway, so we can get rid of that. So there you go. If you want to do a display ID, you can do custom ROM. Jeez, 2 in the morning, cannot type for the life of me. There. View document properties. Remember, in Unix. Okay. And all the rest of this, just kind of leave alone if you want. If you know how to tweak it, go for it. So we'll get out of that. Okay, so once you're done doing all this stuff and optimizing or adding audio files, all that kind of stuff, we're going to come over here and we're going to build. in this case, build a full ROM zip. You could build just the system image, but since we have vendor to include, the kernel or the boot image to include, we're going to do it all at once. So now here you can also change the display ID, but I like to do mine right from build prop, just my preference. Changing it here and not changing it through the menu here, it will still hold the entry that you saved to the file. So this may not accurately reflect it. That's fine. In fact, let me try something. Let me go main menu, back in. Nope, see, it does update. So it does pull from the field. I never noticed that before, but it's good to know. So in this case, we're going to build. Would you like to convert to an updater script to an update binary? I personally don't. I like to see my updater script. It just makes me feel better. So in this case, no. I will leave you with this for a second. This could take a minute. Now if we look up here, we got a little bit going. Not a whole lot. It's not super fast, but yeah. I'll let this run for a second, and as soon as it's done, we will continue and I will show you the end result. All right, so I just feel like I'm kind of not saying anything and taking up a lot of time, and that the video might get a little boring. So let me try something here. We're not going to go into that. It will create another folder in case you're watching and getting all antsy about what's going on here. Let me go back real quick while that's building to the tools. Okay, so you're in the kitchen. Tools, root, and root zips. Now, if you want to add in, say, Magisk, you would put that in here. And then when you go to the root option, you have the option of which one to select. If you want to do Magisk, there's a module for this that you need to, or I'm sorry, a plugin that you need to install first that'll work properly with Magisk. So you can do that. Same thing with BusyBox. If you have a custom version of BusyBox, you add that in here, and when you use that option, it will list what's available and let you choose. Same thing. Here is your bloat custom. Obviously empty right now. If we go bloat, this is what it looks like. So all the ones that you want to have removed, this is the format that they'll be in. So it would be system, app, and then anything with an asterisk wildcard, that title with asterisk after. So you can have the asterisk before, in the middle, after, but it's the wildcard part. So in this case, it'd be facebook.apk, facebook.odex, .vdex, whatever. But if you want it to be in a subfolder, then say it would have to be something like out arm 64 there. And then you would also have to have an entry for, I probably should have just done this. Okay. That. So that'll get both folders. Now, obviously, if you have both an ARM and an ARM64 folder, then you would do it like that. And that would get everything in this, everything in there. If you've got lib, then you need to add in the lib. So if we would do lib asterisk, you could do that. So I mean, just play around with it a little bit. You can try it, you can undo it, just kind of see how it works. Obviously, I'm not going to save that. Nope. Okay, so zip has been created. Would you like to sign the zip? No. Doesn't really matter. So, no. Go back to the ROM Tools menu. Okay, so in this case, we can quit. Come back here into the folder, and here is our new ROM. Flashable in TWRP with everything in it. So compared to the original factory image that had, if you include recovery, that's negligible, but recovery, vendor, everything, okay. This is now at 1.7. I'm not going to recompress this. I like to personally, but I'm not going to do it for the sake of this video. What I would do is I would extract the contents into a folder, select that contents, and then recompress it in 7-zip into as tight a package as I can using zip ultra deflate, and that will still be flashable. But that's not for this video. So let's go over what's in it. So you have obviously your busy boxes there. There's your extra data app folder, which we didn't use. You can leave in, doesn't hurt. The meta INF folder, which contains the updater script, tells recovery how to install. Your root zip and system. Remember, system has all of our stuff in it, including our edits. Notice all of our non-English keyboards that we removed. Those are all gone. Drive is gone. Okay, so all your edits are out. And your vendor, which also gets copied directly over to the vendor partition. So vendor is included in the ROM and our custom boot image. So we have our kernel, our system, and our vendor all in one package. Literally, you just flash this in TWRP. So you want to wipe system data and both caches and flash the ROM, and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about a separate vendor, worry about did you upgrade from an old version of Android to a new, and do you have the right vendor image? Do you need to download it? Do you need to flash it separately? Did you forget to or not? Doesn't matter. It's all right here. So I'll go into here. I'll pull this out and I'll show you. So in this case, package extract system. So system literally just it pulls everything from the folder in system partition. Where to go? This one seems to be slightly out of place, but I'm not worried about that. Extracting data. Cool. Well, we don't really have that. So that was the data app that I was telling you about. Okay. Which we didn't use, but it is in here because I put that option in. Extracting vendor, and that guy also seems to be out of place. But extracting vendor takes the vendor folder to /vendor, which is the vendor partition. So that's good. And some symlinks and some other fun stuff here. Permissions, extracting the boot image, which you want to come last. Well, next to last at least. Okay. Then we have the root zip or SuperRs, which applies patches to the boot image. So obviously boot image has to go in first, then super user patches the boot image, and then BusyBox gets installed after everything, which you could actually swap the two around if you really wanted to, or you could put BusyBox, before the boot image, but after system and vendor. But just leave them in this order, it's just easier. When it's done, it then mounts, and you're finished. So that's all of that. And now you have cute final flashable ROM. Just take that, just this, copy it over to your Nexus, wipe system, data, in both caches, flash it, and you now have your first, or you have a custom ROM. It may not be your first, but that's basically how you use this kitchen. In another video, I'll go over a little bit more of some of the finer details and some of the other options. But in general, this is, to my knowledge, the easiest way to create a custom ROM from a stock factory Google image that I'm aware of. So, like, subscribe. If you're watching this through my website, go to youtube.com. The link is at the top of the page here. And leave a comment if you'd like about maybe another video you'd like to see, questions that you have, or any other suggestions. And have a good one. I will see you in the next video.